Chapter 13, the endocrine system. Endocrine system means everything about the hormones. So first word we have mentioned before. What? No. What happened here? Good. Okay, first word is acromegaly. What do you mean? Megaly means big. Acro means the tip. The tip of the fingers faces become big. Is caused by growth, too much growth hormones in adulthood, not adulthood, not only in adulthood, actually mostly after puberty. After puberty, if the people still have lot too much growth hormones. That's also because the long bone stop growing longer. So the only become in the thicker and fatter, and then causing the tip, the tissues become bigger. And then for this hyponatremia and hyperkalemia. These two are not really closely related to the endocrine system, more related to the urinary system. We have mentioned this before. Hyponatremia is low sodium in the body. Why people have low sodium in the body? Drink too much water. And then, that's the major reason. And then hyperkalemia means high potassium in the body. Why do people have high potassium in the body? The kidney, in most cases, the kidney issues or extreme severe dehydration. So it's not that closely related to the endocrine system. And then, so new page, the thyroid gland. This is the larynx we mentioned in the last class. And then surrounding what color is the thyroid gland? This one. Okay. This thyroid gland is like a butterfly shape. Is basically holding the thyroid just beneath the larynx, thyroid gland. And then what does thyroid gland do? Produce thyroid hormone. What does thyroid hormone do? Regulate the metabolism rate. So if you have high level of thyroid hormone, the metabolic rate is high. So, and then in this case, hyperthyroidism means too much thyroid hormone produced by the thyroid, and then the people had to have higher metabolic rate. And one of the symptoms is that the people always feel like, oh, it's so hot. And then hypothyroidism is not enough thyroid hormone produced by the thyroid gland, and this guy has reduced metabolic rate. And both of those are caused by both of those are autoimmune autoimmune diseases. But the antibody just focusing on different part of the thyroid hormone to cause either hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism. And euthyroidism means normal. Whenever you see U means normal thyroid hormone levels. I don't think we use a lot. And then thyrotropic. Whenever you see tropic, A means increase something. Thyrotropic means increase the thyroid hormone production. And what kind of thing can increase the thyroid hormone production? Another hormone. This hormone called thyroid stimulating hormone. Is produced by pituitary gland in the brain, and in many cases just use TSH, and in some cases also call it thyroid tropin. Thyroid tropin. And then in this here, in the thyroid hormone, it has thyroid tropin receptor. And then thyrotropin hormone can activate the thyrotropin receptor, and the thyroid gland produce more thyroid hormone. And in the case of hyperthyroidism, the antibody is an antibody bind to thyrotropin receptor and serve as the TSH or thyrotropin to activate this receptor, and then this body will produce more than adequate level of thyroid hormone. That's a mechanism how that's the most common reason for people with hyperthyroidism. And in the case of hyperthyroidism, let me see. One of the treatment is called thyroidectomy. Remove the thyroid. However, this approach is most often not used for hyperthyroidism. In most cases, hyperthyroidism is not treated by thyroidectomy. And the thyroidectomy is mostly used for a tumor or a nodule inside the thyroid to remove it. And also, it's used to treat a goiter. What is a goiter? It's enlarged thyroid hormone. And this has another word called thyromegaly. And I think thyromegaly is less used than goiter. Thyromegaly, thyromegaly, enlarged the thyroid hormone, goiter. And then what can cause this thyromegaly or goiter? Iodine deficiency. Why iodine deficiency can cause the goiter? Because the body produces thyroid hormone have to use iodine. Iodine is efficient to produce thyroid hormone. And if the body does not have enough iodine and the body does not have enough thyroid hormone, however, the body's own regulation system cannot tell the difference, cannot tell that the body does not have enough thyroid hormone because it does not have enough iodine. And the body's regulations work like they say, okay, well, I do not have enough thyroid hormone, then I need a larger thyroid gland. So the thyroid gland keep growing larger and larger. However, no matter how big the thyroid gland is, the body still has not enough thyroid hormone because of the iodine deficiency. So iodine deficiency is the most common cause of the goiter. And where you can have iodine? Seafood, from the seafood iodine. So the people living inland, common to have the iodine deficiency, and that's why in the U.S., in many other countries, including China, you put iodine in the salt to prevent the iodine deficiency. Let's see, did I? Okay, I think one more last word about thyroid. Thyroid ductomy. Open up the thyroid. Why you need to open up? Sometimes you have to remove something in the thyroid tumor, and sometimes you have to open it up to make access, to have access to the to the trachea, to make people to make people be able to breathe. Okay, next one. Adenoma. This is a benign tumor coming out from the gland cells, glandular cells, or gland cells, adenoma. And in the previous chapter of which one, we also talk about sarcoma. Sarcoma is much worse than adenoma. Adenoma is normally a benign tumor, which means that relatively safe, but sarcoma is a cancer that arises from inflammation. And there's a common word, and some of the collect word for different tumors of cancer. And then adrenal gland. Where is the adrenal gland? Okay. Kidney cortex in the middle, and then you have this pelvis. Yeah. So, adrenal gland is a tiny. Tiny gland on top of this, the kidney, adrenal gland. So here, adrenal, and adrenalectomy means remove the adrenal gland. Why people need to remove the adrenal gland? In some cases, in many cases, that's be a tumor or adrenal cancer, tumor, and sometimes the tumor causing too much hormone produced by the adrenal gland. You have to remove either the whole thing or part of it, adrenalectomy. And adrenalitis, the inflammation of the adrenal gland caused by inflammation or autoimmune diseases. It's actually not that common. Hidradenitis, it stays there very low. It's not very common to have this implanted there. Adrenomegaly, theoretically is a word, but I don't know if there is any lot of the conditions called it. It means adrenomegaly means enlarged adrenal gland, but I don't really know. There's a lot of the conditions, a lot of the cases of enlarged adrenal gland. And this one, adrenocortical adrenal gland, cortical hormones. That's the one type of hormone produced by the adrenal gland, tropic increase. And so with something increase the cortisol, something increase the cortisol production from the adrenal gland, and this something is a hormone, and this has a brief abbreviation ACTH, adrenal corticotropic hormone. ACTH is produced by pituitary gland, the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland produces ACTH to promote the production of cortisol from the adrenal gland. And this is very similar to the thyroid gland. Actually, the thyroid gland is called APT axis. Hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid axis. This is the way to regulate metabolism, the central path of regular metabolism. And here, this is hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and adrenal gland. Is also an axis. What does it regulate? Stress. So adrenal gland in many cases eventually regulate the body's response to the stress. The stress can be psychological stress, physical stress, anyway. All of those stress regulate like this one. And cortisol is a temporarily increased body metabolism, suppress immune system to help people to go through any of those strengths. And let's keep moving. Androgen. So androgen is one of the hormones. The adrenal gland produce this layer is called a cortex. The cortex itself can be further divided into 3 layers. And each layer produces one group of hormones. Cortisol is produced by, I believe, the middle layer. I need to double check. And one of the layer produces androgens. Androgen, by the name, is basically increase the male feature of the people, and but it also actually serves as a progenitor of producing other sexual hormones, including estrogen and testosterone. And by androgen itself, it can increase the muscle beat. So some people like to use it, but it has a very serious consequence if you use too much of it. So that's it for the adrenal gland. Next. The next one, hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia, low blood glucose, more accurate to say so, low blood glucose, high blood glucose. So that's it. We have mentioned this before. And in the case of diabetes, actually, diabetes is the accumulation of glucose in the blood, but it's a chronic hyperglycemia, but also it may have acute hypoglycemia here and now. So diabetes basically change the glucose dependent. And if you work in a hospital in the endocrinology department, so there's number one endocrinology disease is diabetes, diet. And number two is the hyper or hypo. Okay, and so keep moving. Glycosuria. Urea, that means urine. Glucose urine, that means you have glucose in the urine. That's typical. It's a severe level of the diabetes. And let's talk about this word diabetes. In nowadays, when we talk about diabetes, people know this is a disease, diabetes. But the real at the very beginning, diabetes, the full name diabetes called diabetes mellitus. What does it mean by diabetes mellitus? Why does diabetes actually is it means urine. Mellitus means sweet. So sweet urine. That's the original of this diabetes. The word coming from the sweet urine. It means you have sugar in the urine. And nowadays, because diabetes is so common, we just even in the most serious academic documents, diabetes by itself can refer to the disease. You do not really have to use the full word diabetes mellitus. But there's another type of diabetes, but diabetes insipidus. Insipidus. I forgot. I'm not sure. It means orderless urine. And that's because the people have too much urine due to a hormone issue, ADH. So ADH is too low, and the body does not absorb too much enough water from the urine, and causing the odorless urine. I think I'm saying too much. Let's keep on. Polydipsia. Polydipsia is too much. Your poly means too much. Too much urine. And polydipsia and polydipsia means often feel thirsty. So, polyuria means too much urine. And polydipsia and polyuria is the common symptoms of diabetes. And why so? That's because since the blood and glucose cannot be removed from the blood, then the kidney have to do the job to remove the actual glucose from the blood, and then using a lot of the water to get rid of the actual glucose, and then it's causing polyuria. And then because there's a lot of water to get rid of the blood glucose, people need to drink a lot and polydipsia. Okay, one last two words, right? Parathyroidism. back. So what I mean. I'm trying to draw this again. This is the thyroid gland. And behind the thyroid gland is another gland called hypothyroid gland. I believe there are 4 very tiny small glands. And this gland produces parathyroid hormone. And parathyroid hormone, what's the function, is to remove the calcium from the bone to the blood. So calcium is extremely critical in our body. Without enough calcium, the people will die. Without enough calcium in the blood, the people will die because the heart may even stop beating. So you need enough calcium. And when the blood calcium is low, what can we do? Get rid of restore or break down the calcium from the bone back to the blood. And this parathyroid hormone can do this. And why people need to remove the parathyroid hormone, parathyroid gland? In some cases, you have a tumor, cancer, or you have just too much parathyroid hormone. And last one, thymus. This means remove the thymus. And thymus is not really part of the endocrine system, but more like the immune system or lymphatic system. And they produce T cell. It is one of the key issue in the key immune cells of the adaptive immune system. And why people want to remove the thymus? The thymus is actually somewhere here. This is the heart, and on top of the heart, this is the thymus. And when people have to remove the thymus, it's one way to try to reduce the immune activity. In what case you want to reduce the immune activity? I mentioned this before. Myasthenia gravis. This is the antibody and the immune system basically block the AChR. The receptors that sensing the ACH are still calling to trigger the muscle contraction. And this myasthenia gravis is a severe muscle fatigue due to the lack of the signals that promote the muscle contraction. And this signal is blocked by immune system. And to treat this very severe condition, in some cases you can just remove the thymus. So that's it for the chapter of the endocrine system. See you next time.